Sophomores, welcome back to another installment of Speech 2 Online Style. So, we are now on chapter 5 of the course, which means, drumroll please, your midterm project, which you all know about. Everyone is in groups, so you should have started writing your scripts. So we're just going to go into a bit of detail about verbal, non-verbal, and a little bit about actually shooting it. And by shooting it, I don't mean bang bang, I mean recording it. Okay, so if you get your books, it's from page 120 onwards. So let's get started. There is a little bit of reading to do, so please make sure you do that. Right, guys. Everyone, as we all know, has a role. We've been talking about that a little bit, but there are more roles than the ones of anchor, analyst, reporter, etc. You've been doing your research, so you're a researcher, that's a role, and you've been writing your script, a writer, that's another role. But now we're going to introduce the role of producer, editor, and director. Okay, so basically, I know you're probably familiar with these terms, but just to shake your memories up, a producer is someone that is in charge of the broadcast as a whole. Okay, then we have a director. I think everyone knows what a director is. They make the decisions in terms of how things look, the design of things, the actual camera angles itself. They decide where the camera goes, where the anchor sits or stands or walks, all those types of decisions. And of course the editor's in charge of the content of the broadcast. Okay, so there is more information on each one of these roles, so I've put the page numbers in there. Also on the slide here, slide 2, you can see a little bit more on it there. So guys, we all have different skills. Some of you may have a really good eye for detail. You might be a little bit more creative, so maybe the director is a role for you because you get to decide what looks good where. Maybe you have an eye for detail, and maybe perhaps you can see things as a whole, the big picture, how it will look. So maybe a producer is better suited to you. If you have very good language skills, and probably the editor will be more suited to you. So have a read through those and see which ones you think is best suited. Now, I know for some of you, you have 4 in your group, so some of you may need to double up or share the responsibility. I think that sounds better. So have a read and then decide which one is for you. Okay, so guys, in this lesson, I just put a brief outline, of what it will cover. So it'll focus on speaking strategies, which you've done in lesson 1, but it's good to rehash these things. And it is slightly different because we are doing it for the news. Camera skills. We had a whole plan set for this, but obviously now that we're working from home, we can't quite do it the way we wanted to. We'll be talking about relaxation strategies, breathing on camera, because I do notice that sometimes in our speech course, people tend to stiffen up in front of the camera and they speak in quite a rigid way. It doesn't sound very natural. And then as soon as we stop recording, people relax and they go back to normal. We don't want that. We want this to be more natural, even when it's being filmed. Okay, so you will complete your final broadcast in lesson 5. And this is your midterm, and it will be a cohesive news program with at least 2 news story segments which are covering local events. Okay, now I've highlighted something here because it says your final broadcast will contain both in-studio and on-location reporting, interviews and analysis. Now, if we were not going through this current situation, we would use the studio at school. You could set it up the way you wanted to. This is not an option, so you guys I'm saying that your studios could be the indoor footage. Maybe you film it in your living room. Maybe you film it sitting at your kitchen table, your dining room table. And then your on location, maybe it could be in whether it's walking around your condominium or wherever you want to do it, but it has to look significantly different from what your studio would look like. Okay, and so that would be reflected in your dress as well, because remember on the news TV programs, when they're in studio, they are dressed a little bit more formally. And maybe when they're on location, it's been maybe a shirt and jeans or something that's a little bit more practical to be out and about. So just bear those things in mind. But there should not be one group that has all of their shots done in the same place. Okay? Should not all just be sitting down in a room. That is not what we're going for. Guys, slide 4, I've put a YouTube video in, and the link is at the bottom of the page, or you can watch it straight on the slides. This is a bit it's got a satirical tone, but it's still quite true for what they say. It's got some good advice, and it's having a bit of fun as well. So please do take the time to watch that. It's not very long. I think it's like three minutes. I watched it. Okay. So moving on. In lesson 1, we talked about the verbal aspect of public speaking. So your articulation, your rate, your volume. So I've put this chart in, but if you look to the right-hand side of the chart, this is additional notes for television news. This is the part that you really must read. It's on page 125 to 126. I've just put a screenshot in, but it doesn't have all of it. So please make sure you read the right-hand side column, because it's got a little bit of extra of what you need to remember for those different verbal aspects. The Canvas link is also on this slide as well if you want to read it online. So that is the verbal aspect. Non-verbal aspects, again, there are additional notes for television news. That's on page 127 to 128. Please make sure you read that, guys, okay? For example, it talks about eye contact, posture, and movement, and how it should differ for TV eye contact. So please make sure you read those pages. Guys, as I said, we're going to be talking a little bit about the filming aspect. Now, it's quite hard to do this just by talking to you, but when you watch a movie, a TV show, a music video, it's very rare that it's just one continuous shot for the whole time, okay? Maybe it will open, and then if it's a music video, it happens so quickly. It could be like 5 seconds one shot, and then 2 seconds for another shot, and then another shot comes by. So one music video that could last 3 minutes has maybe over 100 shots. Now, I'm not saying you guys need to have as many as that, but you need to think about different camera angles. And maybe you have an interview with a reporter and someone at a scene, okay? Now maybe you would open with a shot of the two people together, and then when you start interviewing the person, they start to reply, you just have the camera on them, okay? All these little types of decisions and visual aspects need to be taken into consideration, okay? So I'm just going to read what it says quickly. Transitions. I went off on a bit of a tangent. By introducing yourself and your topic, you're letting the audience know that you're beginning your segment, and you direct their focus and attention to the content of your speech. By introducing the next speaker and walking toward them, you are signaling to your audience that your segment is over, and you're letting the speaker know that it's time for them to get ready to start, so that they can pick up where you left off without any fillers or silences. So in lesson 4, guys, you worked on verbal transitions in your script. So now, as the producer and director, it's time for you to get visual cues that indicate where one segment ends and the next one starts. So guys, on page 134 and 135, it's got A, B, and C, and A is camera shot transitions. Now, I know it's not ideal to read about these, but that's the best we can do right now in this circumstance. So please do read these pages. Hopefully it can inspire you and give you more ideas for how you will film your own one, okay? So from camera shot transitions, it goes on to visual aid transitions, location transitions, and editing transitions. So we all know what visual aids are when we're doing a live speech, but this is going to be pre-recorded. So how will that look? So if you're watching the news, maybe the anchor is in the studio and is introducing a topic, and then he cuts to a reporter. Maybe that reporter doesn't automatically start with him speaking to camera. Maybe it's got a chart full of statistics, and he's got a voiceover on that. Okay, that is a visual aid. Okay, so you need to think whether it's appropriate at any time for you to have visual aids in your report. I'm hoping it will, because it would like to have different layers to your segments. So that is a visual aid, and basically just read what it says about visual aid transitions and see if you can include this in your midterm. Location transitions, so from going from the studio to your location and how you would do that, please read that. And then your editing transitions. So I'm just going to read what it says because it's important. For your midterm assignment, you are welcome to use whatever editing tools your group has available to you. You may film each segment separately if that works best for you and splice them together later. Now, guys, I don't know how many of you have ever done video editing before. I had not done any until about 2 weeks ago, where I had to put a video together. Now, I filmed it portrait, and then I realized I should have filmed it landscape. Guys, when I say that, I mean, I don't have my phone. Here's my iPad. Oh, it's plugged in. Imagine this was your phone, or if you're filming your iPad, this is portrait, vertical. But I should have filmed it landscape. So then on my iMovie Maker, I had to fill the blanks at the side. So I watched some tutorials, and very quickly I learned how to do it, okay? I used iMovie Maker because it came as standard on my Mac. There are many different programs that you can use. I know there are loads of different apps that you can even do it on your phone. For the juniors last year, they had to do a marketing video. Everyone did it on their phone, and the results, we had some really good results. So you guys are the tech generation. I'm sure you will find what works, something that works for you, and you'll be able to produce something that's super cool. So just remember that even if you are filming your segments at different times and places, you will still need to incorporate transitions so they move fluidly from one to the next, to the next, to the next, okay? It should be an immediate sequence. So check your script carefully to make sure that each segment ends with an introduction to the next segment and speaker, and that the previous speaker has acknowledged before moving on to the next topic. Remember that you need to pass the baton and not just jump abruptly from one segment to the next. Okay, so they should link. It shouldn't be bang, bang. They should flow nicely. Okay, so guys, I know you're not filming just yet. You should still be on your scripts, but I want you to bear this in mind when you're writing, how you can flow nicely from one segment to the next, from one speaker to the next speaker, because we want this to look high quality, even though we haven't had our tutorial from Rodrigo, etc., and we don't have access to the studio. So that's all I'm going to be saying for today. If you have any questions, put it on Classroom. I'm really excited about this, guys. I've started to read one of the scripts that I've been sent, and it's really interesting news. So hopefully once you go through what we've done today, you'll feel inspired and get some really cool ideas for when you are filming. Okay, so ciao for now, guys.